heroin's been a problem in Philadelphia for a long time, but just recently we're seeing a surge in overdoses and fatal overdoses in particular. So on November 17th, we had about 50 overdoses in a single day, and 5 of which were fatal. And then between December 1st and December 5th, we had 35 fatal overdoses and 171 non-fatal overdoses. So the prevailing theories, there are two, is that the heroin may be laced with some stronger opioid like fentanyl or some other ones that are out there, or that the heroin could just be really pure. Unfortunately, Philadelphia has a reputation for having some of the purest heroin on the East Coast. So it's definitely an issue here. I know it's an issue across the country as well. I think it's always been bad. I think that these numbers really, really scare people, and they're kind of waking some people up, hopefully. But I know even the medical examiner told my colleague that he hadn't seen anything like it in his career, these major spikes. You see it across segments, but especially in the 35 over the 5 days, my colleague was able to get some identifying factors, and it was mostly white males among the dead there. So you're seeing a larger number of white males, but there's no community that goes unaffected by it. And, there also, our overdose deaths are concentrated in one or two neighborhoods in the city. And those are, the neighborhoods that are historically been, higher drug trafficking areas. The areas where these are happening are not the wealthiest areas of the city, but I think it affects wealthy people too. I don't think that they're immune. They're traveling to these areas to get the drugs to feed, the addiction. But it's I don't think that there's a community that this doesn't touch. I think it's just concentrated because for so long, it's been a highly trafficked area, and when one drug dealer gets arrested, somebody else, comes in and takes their place because the demand is so high. I don't know that anybody knows the root cause of it, and I think there are a lot of theories. There are a lot of theories out there, but in order to fight it well, we should know the root cause. But I just think that it's so misunderstood. Maybe not even misunderstood, just not understood at all. I think the causes range from, I was talking to a pastor whose church is right in the middle of it, and he lives, 2 blocks away from his church, and him and his kids see the open air drug markets every day and the addiction every day. And I asked him the same thing you're asking me now. What do you think drives this? And he gave me a really thought-provoking answer, and he said he thinks it's a lot to do with loneliness. A lot of people, when you talk to drug addicts, the addiction, and they started or they continue for a while because it numbs them. That's the word you hear so often is numb. It numbs me. I don't have to feel anything. And this pastor's theory is that there's just a lot of lonely people out there, and Kensington's an easy place to numb that loneliness, where we're seeing a lot of these deaths. But there are other theories as well. Obviously, the opioid crisis. The overprescription of prescription opioids by doctors. So many people I talk to say that their addiction started through prescription due to surgery or some other kind of ailment. They were prescribed pills, and then once that prescription ran out, the only thing they could get was heroin, and it was cheaper and easier than trying to get prescription pills on the black market.
Well, Stephanie, people use drugs because they aren't going anywhere with their lives. It makes them feel really good when they get high, and then when they come down, they don't have anything else to look forward to, and so they just keep getting high, and it's like a vicious cycle. And I think people are disillusioned. There's so much talk in this country about being wealthy and, having love and having money and having whatever. I mean, even like famous people. it's such a big deal. Everyone wants to read the National Enquirer to find out what happened to, Jennifer Lopez or whatever. And there's so much emphasis put on people who are above and beyond in their area, whether it's music or art or whatever. And incidentally, people who are into music and art and everything and acting are often into drugs too, or at least have moments when they are into that. And I think people get disillusioned, like, well, I don't really have anything else to live for. I'm poor, or I don't feel good about myself, or, it's just too hard to quit. And when I do the drugs, I feel good and I want to feel good. And, you did say numbing, and I think numbing has something to do with it, but really drugs make you feel good. So, people just get stuck in that, and that's what happens, and it's just this vicious cycle, and then it does lead to loneliness because people who aren't drug addicts don't want to hang around with somebody who is. And somebody who's a drug addict, that's my dog, my guide dog chewing her bone in the background. People who are into drugs, they just want to get high. I mean, that's like their main thing, and it becomes their only focus in life. And they don't want other people don't want to hang out with them, because what fun is it to hang out with somebody that's all they want to do is get high and be like, well, man, it changes your whole personality. You might be happy or feel like you're happy or something, but it doesn't last, and there's a big come down. And I think people need things to look forward to in life, things that are interesting to them, and goals and things that they're passionate about. And I think a lot of people don't have that, particularly ones who are involved with drugs.
Hey, what's up? I have several family members that have been addicted to drugs, and I myself have heavily used painkillers in the past, which is a bit, different than what you're talking about, but still an addiction at that. One of the things that I feel that drives drug addiction, obviously, is money. Money, and most of my family members, and even I think for myself, what kept me high was not having to feel, not having to deal with things. I think that the issue starts off in early childhood. I think that we are quick to take our children to the doctor for a cold and shove medication down their throat so they can hurry up and get back to school. But we do nothing to ensure the well-being of their mental status. And until we do, we're going to continue to raise these children that are not liking themselves, authority, anything that disagrees with them, because they don't know how to cope. They don't know how to adjust. And it's easier to live a life where you don't have to feel than the life in which you do, but you can't control. And I think if these skills were taught, I hate to put everything in the schools because it's not really their responsibility, but until parents can really get to the point that where they're teaching their children these things, was it 10, 20 years ago, we said no more spanking, you're going to fuck them up mentally. And so everybody stopped spanking. And now this is, on the rise, because there's no real formal discipline. There's no real discipline anymore. You can only stick a kid in the corner so many times, and parents don't have the skills to properly discipline. And it was almost like, stop doing this, but I'm not going to show you other ways on how to do things. I think the point that I'm trying to make, though, is that a lot of this has to do with lack of discipline, not only for the children, but for the parents as well. And lack of mental health services to the children that truly need it. and children in single parent homes, children, that are living at the poverty level, children that come out of domestic violence living situations, children that have experienced trauma. A lot of the times it's go to a counselor for 20 sessions and you should be over it. And the truth is that they're not. Because we're not making kids as tough as they used to. So as long as we continue to, turn away from children and refuse to get them what they need because it's overstepping and we don't want to do this and we don't want to do that. It's like you could tell me to stop spanking my kid, but you can't tell me how to help them. It's crazy.
The answer to this question could be very complex. I mean, we could blame it on anything from new liberal thinking where every child gets a trophy and the lack of promotion of self-respect and no real self-worth to whatever, lack of being able to discipline our kids the way we should be able to. I mean, we could blame this on so many things and really make a good argument for each and every reason. But it all boils down to this. I am not a drug addict. I'm never going to be hooked on opiates because I don't ever choose to do them. It's my choice not to do them. Just as someone who is hooked on opiates, drugs, any drug, anything at all, it comes down to a choice. And it has to be the drug user's choice. When they wake up this morning, they have a choice to feed their addiction or fight their addiction. I'm not saying the fight is easy, but I'm saying it is a choice. You choose to stay addicted or you choose to not be addicted. And again, I'm not saying it's easy to get off drugs, but I'm saying it is a choice. And yes, some people get prescribed the opiates for an injury, and when the doctor no longer prescribes them the medication, they have an addiction. But however, they choose to go out on the street to feed an addiction rather than be, and I'm going to use this term, a man and fight it. Now, I didn't say woman, and women are addicted to drugs, but it's the same. It's the same narrative. You can be strong and fight it, or you can be weak and serve your addiction by feeding it. It's that simple. So, what's the answer? Education. People are educated about the drug as far as, oh, it's not that bad, you won't get addicted, or this stuff needs to be educated. It needs to be pushed from children all the way up. So it kind of falls on lack of parenting. Parents never believing, oh, my kid's not going to get addicted to drugs. No need to talk about it. Or if they are talking about it, they're not talking about it enough. So there are many reasons, but the true reason is it's about choice. It's as bad as what it is because people choose to do it. Now you can say nobody chooses to be an addict. That's nobody's choice. Well, actually it is. It's their choice to do the drug. It's their choice to stay addicted to the drug. And I've heard this argument thrown in my face. You can't tell me somebody chooses that life. You can't tell me somebody chooses to go behind a store and suck somebody off for money to keep doing the drugs. Well, yeah, it is a choice. It's all about the choice. It's that simple. It's a simple answer to a very complex problem because nobody wants to fight to get off the drugs because a lot of times they weren't taught to be competitive as kids. It don't matter whether you win or lose, you're going home with the trophy. So, yeah, a lot of different arguments can be made, but it all boils down to a simple choice. The right choice or the wrong choice. Record your answer to the question. Single finger double tap to stop.